All right, we are here for another edition of the Offside Show. We don't have Pistons talk for now. I don't know if he's going to join us or not, but we'll see what happens. But we got Seth with us here today. How's it going, Seth?
Good. Going to keep the seat warm for Pistons talk. Hopefully he'll be able to join us. But for now, we will talk Red Wings hockey with the two of us.
Yep, for sure. So we don't know how long the show is going to be today, but we'll see what happens. All right, let's start off with this one. We've had this discussion many times, but now we have another version of the topic that's popped up recently. The NHL is now thinking of starting their season mid-January. What are your thoughts on this, Seth?
Well, judging by past history, in past years, January has been basically the deadline for when the league has had to really start a season to have a sufficient amount of regular season games, usually 48, but now they're talking about 52, and for the season to end on time, basically. Now, I'm sure they're giving themselves the hockey guy mentioned that they're giving themselves some leeway for in case, players and teams need to quarantine. I really don't know if they're going to be able to play 52 games. It might be less. I would say it might be like 40. Oh, hey, Pistons talk. How you doing?
Good.
Yeah, we're on the first talk about we're talking about the NHL possibly starting in mid-January. What are your thoughts?
I could see it happening, honestly. They said that they were going to do bubbles first, so that probably helps a lot. I could see it happening. Was it 50 to 56 games they were discussing?
52, I think.
52 to 56 is what the article I have pulled up is saying.
I think they just want to play at the end of the day. They don't want to have another lockout season like they had. And, I think, they talked about how they wanted to do it for the money with the escrow with the players, which that went out the door. Apparently, they're just going to pay the players at a later date when they, make enough money. He talks about having outdoor games, which I thought was actually kind of cool to see. I'd love to watch outdoor games. I don't know about you guys. This kind of gives you that real hockey feel. I'd love to watch some outdoor games.
I actually agree with you. I like watching outdoor games. No, they did one in was it Nashville? I want to say they did one. It was either Nashville or Dallas that they did one last year.
Yeah.
No, but they made it work. No, I agree. It gives you this really cool feel. There's this amazing feel to what's going on. It just feels. I can't put into words how it feels when you watch an outdoor game, but no. I'm sorry I interrupted you. But what else did you want to say about this mid-January start time potentially?
I think it's going to happen just because, they don't want to lose more money than they're losing. And I think it's just it's probably going to get through within probably the next couple of weeks. We'll probably get an official, tweet from the NHL or ESPN saying that, they'll start on the 15th or something like that. And I'm just happy to see them actually get back out there. I feel like it's been a year since I've actually watched the Red Wings play.
It does feel like
it's almost been a year.
Yeah.
It actually has. I think the last Red Wing game I watched was when the Red Wings beat the Lightning in the shootout. That's the last game I remember watching from them. So,
wow. I don't even remember. I think the last game I watched, it was a 7-2 blowout. It was,
and then they lost to the Hurricanes the following game. But
yeah,
it's been a long
consistent.
It's been a long time for sure to watch since we watched the Red Wing game. Seth, did you want to finish up what you had to say about this? I don't think you got a chance to.
You guys brought up outdoor games. That's another thing that a hockey guy brought up on YouTube. I really like his videos because he's very, informative, not, very unbiased, always tries to be informative, not too much, not too little. He also mentioned about outdoor games, how they would be more expensive potentially, but it would provide a chance for fans to be in attendance, and that could potentially make up the difference. So having outdoor games that would be interesting from a logistics standpoint. That would be a challenge to pull off, but if you can make it work, why not? I'm all for it.
All right. I actually want to ask you guys about this one thing. This is where it just feels sketchy to me. And Pistons Talk, I might be able to elaborate on this a little bit because, since you do the above the rim and stuff, but the Red Wings and the 6 other non-playoff teams would report in the last few days of December and get 2 or 3 days of extra training camp. What do you guys think of that? It's gonna be what? We're gonna have a 1-week training camp or something like that? That's where I'm just
no. Basically, what I know, the hockey guy kind of just brushed over that, but all the teams that didn't get to play in the bubble in Canada, so the Red Wings and all the other teams that were really bad, they'll get an extra week or maybe 2 weeks to just get ready for the season. So that's all it's really going to be. Kind of in basketball terms, we didn't get to do that, but I think for the hockey teams that were bad, they might need the extra practice to kind of be on the level of the teams that just played a couple of months ago.
Well, no, yeah, I agree for sure. No, I mean, even then, that's a week of training camp, then 1 or 2 preseason games, then it's hot, and it's time to play. That seems, I don't know, that just seems really intense to me. I don't know, maybe I'm tripping, but
intense.
Yeah, if you're a player, that feels that's a lot to bear. That's a very condensed timeline. I don't know. I wish they were getting more training camp time. At least my team specifically was getting a little more time in training camp, I guess, is what I'm getting at.
Oh, PD, they are.
Yeah, they're getting more time. They're getting more time, but I wish they were getting more time. Does that make sense?
So you'd want them to have a 2 to 3 week training camp.
Yeah, probably actually.
Well, a lot of these guys haven't played either. So a lot of these guys are just sitting on their ass right now, just waiting for something to happen.
Yeah.
They'll be happy to get out there. I don't really think they would care if the season started in 2 days. They'd probably be ready for it.
Okay, that's a good point.
Personally, I don't think a week is too short because it's not I don't think it's going to be 7 days of hard, rigorous playing and practicing. It's probably be, some easy skates, some scrimmages, maybe some hard ones here, 1 or 2 mixed in, but, basically just to get acclimated back on the ice from the long layout. That's basically what it is.
All right. No, that's fair enough. But yeah, I mean, I can't wait for it to get back up and rolling. I mean, I don't expect the most out of this season, but I still get excited to watch my team no matter how good or bad they are. I mean, and this year I probably wouldn't even be watching necessarily. I'm more watching to see, are players getting better? Are they starting to do the right things, be in the right positions at the right time and stuff like that? That's probably more what I'm watching for in this particular season, but we'll see what happens. Does anyone else have anything they want to add on this topic?
I'm good.
We're good.
Same here.
All right. I don't know what this is gonna create. I want you guys to go first, then I'll give my take afterwards.
Oh God, not again.
No. Not enough for the right credit for the Lightning Stanley Cup. I'll do you guys first because my answer is based on what you guys say. So, Seth.
Something's up with your mic, man.
Sums up.
Okay.
All right. Oh,
okay.
We're good again?
Yes, you're good.
All right. Did you hear the question? Do I need to repeat it?
No, we can read it
down. I get the, yeah, I can go. In terms of my honest opinion, I feel like this is kind of really hard for me to answer because, this was, he's been on the job as Red Wings GM for a year now. And then before that, he had a year as advisor to the Lightning. So it's 2 years since he was really the Lightning's actual GM. So I would say, yeah, he does deserve a fair amount of credit for building, like the core of the team. But in terms of, I guess the most recent addition, that's a very slippery slope. And of course, it's not like you can give him a Stanley Cup ring for, building a team, years ago. He's not currently on the job now. So this is I really don't know how to answer that. I really don't.
All right, well, I just want to ask you this one. What percentage credit would you give him?
I'd say 70.
Okay, fair enough.
75 maybe, yes.
Okay, Pistons talk. Does Steve Yzerman get too much, not enough, or the right amount of credit for the Lightning winning the Stanley Cup?
I would probably have to wait and see, because you look at the playoff success that the Lightning have had over the years, and it feels like every year they're always in the conversation to win a Stanley Cup, and they actually won it this year. But I was trying to compare it to, like another, sports team, for example, that, had talent and then someone else takes over, and seeing if it actually got better or gotten worse. I want to see if it gets worse. If it gets worse, then I'll give him more credit than he does, than we're probably going to give him right now. But like, if the Lightning just fall off a cliff, then yeah, you'd probably give him more credit than other people would give him right now. But I'd probably be with Seth right there at that 70%. Like, a lot of the core guys that Steve drafted are still there, and they're still making like $5 to $6 million still, and they probably will over the next 3 to 4 seasons. But I don't know. It's a tough question. I feel like we talked about this last week, didn't we?
We partially talked about it. We were talking about, is Steve Yzerman the best GM in the NHL? And then that sparked me to ask this inspired me to bring this topic out, because my answer was like, he hasn't won a Stanley Cup. And your guys' retort to me was, no, he did win a Stanley Cup. He built the team that won the Stanley Cup. So that's why I wanted to.
Actually, that wasn't really so much me. It's just, more like, I think that my argument was more along the lines of, does he have the ability to be top 5? Yes, but he's not there yet. He needs more time, more years, more of a track record, I guess.
Can you guys think of like a sports team that was like at their peak winning championships and then someone else took over?
Jimmy Johnson and the Dallas Cowboys. I don't remember who the coach came in.
Barry Switzer.
Yeah, Barry Switzer. Like, that's probably off the top of my head, that's the example I can think of. Like,
yeah, I mean, in the 49ers when Bill Walsh retired and George Seifert took over. But in terms of GMs, no.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to think of. I was just like, I can't really think of like a GM or someone within like a front office organization that's taken over a team.
Oh wait, time out.
The Red Wings, actually, Ken Holland. But
maybe you can use that. He was
already being groomed.
I feel like Ken Holland got lucky a lot in the drafts, honestly, if I'm being honest.
Well, I don't agree. Like, I think Holland, honestly, like everyone says he sucked after the cap. Like, we still won a Stanley Cup with the salary cap in place. Like,
we should have won more though. I think that's the point.
We're getting a little bit ahead. That's part of my segment.
All right. Okay. Sorry about that.
I know, it's all good. No, but as far as my answer to this particular question, all right, so I'm going to give a little bit of a recap real fast. So Yzerman was the Lightning's GM from 2010 to 2018. He turned the Lightning from a 34, 36, and 12 team to a 46, 25, and 11 team in one season. And he only carried over 14 players from that prior season. Stamkos and Hedman were the players that Yzerman already inherited. So 2018 was Yzerman's last season before he resigned. I want to say he resigned, but so 14 players from the 2018 season, which was Yzerman's last season, remained on the Lightning in 2020. So I'm and actually you guys are, and I agree with you guys. Like a lot of the core was there. Like Vasilevsky was Yzerman, Sergachev was Yzerman, Brady Point was Yzerman, Kucherov was Yzerman. So as far as how much, I think he gets the right. I personally think he gets the right amount of credit. Like I think you guys are giving him a very fair amount of credit. I don't think you guys are giving him too much or too little. I'm basing it off of you guys because like I don't like to read into the Facebook posts or I don't like to read into Twitter posts too much. Like it can be, I do at times, but at times it becomes too much for me. Like it gets toxic. We all know how Twitter gets. It can get toxic really fast and in a hurry. So I try not to get into that all that much. But as far as, yeah, I think you guys are right. I'd probably give him like, I probably in like the 65 to 70 range credit for me. Like I think that's fair. I think he gets the right amount of credit, and I think you guys are giving him the right amount of credit for the Lightning winning that Stanley Cup and the Lightning being a successful organization. But does anyone else have anything else they want to add on to this particular topic?
Nope.
All right. Sounds like we're good. All right. So actually, I thought that was going to create more heated debate, but it surprisingly didn't. We were all kind of on the same page with that one. But all right, this one is interesting, I guess. The Athletic says the Kraken might take Gustav Lindstrom from the Red Wings. How would you feel if this happened? Pistons talk, we'll start with you.
So I kind of want to elaborate on the article. It was just kind of like a mock article. So there's like no reports to it, but they were just kind of like compiling, every player from each team. And honestly, if we lose Lindstrom and that's all we lose, I'm okay with that. He's a good prospect, but we have so many more prospects that are going to be coming up in the AHL and all the people that we have overseas in Europe. If Lindstrom's the only player we lose, I'm not going to be upset. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah.
I wouldn't lose any sleep over it.
No.
Oh, I think.
Yeah. No. I'm not saying that he's bad. I'm along the lines of Pistons talk that, there's, a lot of other prospects on the blue line that, if we lose him in the expansion draft, that's okay. He's expendable. We have other guys.
All right. Yeah. This also, I think this was kind of a faster topic than I expected it to be. No, but I agree with you guys. Like, I'm not gonna. It's like spilled milk to me, honestly, if we lose Lindstrom. And I'm not gonna lie, for like probably 90% of the players on this roster, if we lost them to the Kraken, it's just spilled milk, and there's no point in crying over spilled milk. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
We signed a bunch of 1 and 2 year contracts. We didn't sign anybody long term or anything like that, really. No, I agree. This is nothing to really. It's not the biggest deal if we lose Lindstrom. There's what we still got. I'm spacing our draft pick really badly. Raymond. We still got Raymond. Still got Cross, who's a highlight reel, human highlight reel. We got players that are coming up, I think. So it's not that big of a deal. Does anything else? I don't think anybody has anything else to add, but just in case, does anyone else?
If they were willing to take Franz Nielsen's contract off our hands, I'd be jumping for joy.
Yeah, I'd be jumping for joy too. We'd all be jumping for joy.
I'd pack his bags and drive him to the airport.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's all good. Like, I don't think they want Nielsen, though, unfortunately. We all know that.
Crazier things have happened in expansion drafts sometimes. They'll take some teams will take old aging players that are fitting to retire anyway. And, there's been some weird stuff to happen in the past. Just look up some of the previous expansion drafts. It's happened. Like a 40-something-year-old Guy Lafleur, I think a team took one time. And, he was retired and, some crazy stuff.
All right. Well, I believe it. I mean, if they did say, like I said, like, even with Nielsen's contract, we're in shockingly good cap situation. Even with everything that's gone on, the Red Wings are in a surprisingly good position salary cap wise.
Isn't it crazy how much money he actually makes, though? If you look at it, like top tier players make that.
Yeah, I know. No, it hurts.
Tell me about it.
Like 30 to 40 goal scorers make 5 to 6 million. I think he had maybe like less than 10 goals last season.
Yeah, dude. I don't even did he even have a 20 goals. I feel like he had one total 20 goal season for us.
I swear, every time they show him, they bring up his shootout goals. I was just like, don't bring that up. We're not in a shootout. We're playing hockey right now.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, he's not a bad player. Well, he's gotten worse now than he was before because of his age. But when he came to Detroit, he wasn't a bad player. Solid two-way player, third line guy, maybe second line if you don't have as much depth down the middle. But he was being paid like a top line center just because they had money to spend because Datsuk was gone and they couldn't lure Stamkos away because he chose to remain in Tampa. I mean, you talking about pissed off when I heard that.
I just actually want to ask you guys a question. Like, who are you more mad at? Are you more mad at Nielsen for making the money, or are you more mad at Holland for giving him the contract? Because
Holland.
Holy.
What happened?
You said, when's the last time he scored 20 goals? You want to know when the last time he scored 20 goals?
When
he was at the Islanders in 2015, 2016.
Okay, there's your answer.
It's brutal. Hey, no, but like, I would take that money. I don't care. I don't care if I'm producing or not producing.
I don't blame him.
Yeah,
I don't blame
him.
I never blame the player. I blame the guy that gave him the contract. Kenny's probably like, how's 31 million sound? All right, here's a signing bonus too. It's like he did the same thing with Applicator. Like, I don't blame Applicator for taking the money. I blame the guy giving him the contract.
Exactly.
No, I agree with you. No,
if you're the player, you're going to be like, oh no, I'm sorry, I don't deserve that much, Mr. Holland. Please don't pay me that much. Are you really going to say that? Of course not.
Nah, you pack that wall, man. Set yourself up, man. Like
4 goals, you guys. 4 goals in 60 games.
That's like fire.
That's twice as many as Riley Shanahan had his last full season in Detroit.
And
I remember that. No goals through 81 games, and then 2 goals in the last game of the season.
No, I remember that too. No, I remember that very well. That was the Joe Louis Arena's last game. Like, I had no choice but to tune in.
I bet that was an experience. I bet that was a great experience for you, though. Seriously.
Yeah, no, I didn't attend the game, but I watched the game. Like,
okay.
I'm just saying, like, I can't miss watching it. Even if I could attend it or watch it, it's like I can't miss this. This is the last game at Joe Louis Arena.
Yeah,
I got 2 games there, but
he's gonna be 36, you guys. Like, what are we doing?
How much longer does Nielsen have on his contract? Like, I want to say he has like 2 or 3 more years left on his contract.
Let me look on Cap Friendly. I think he's still got another year or 2.
Yeah.
2
years? Okay.
2. Because he signed a 6-year deal.
Yeah, 6 years. 6 years, 31 million. So that's just crazy.
Uh-huh.
I apologize for taking us way off topic here.
No. I'm always about bashing friends, Nielsen. It's my favorite topic, you guys.
Yeah, for sure. No, but I mean, it is what it is. Like, thankfully, we're in an okay cap situation. Hopefully, we're almost done with it, and we're gonna hopefully like raise a banner. Hopefully, we're probably gonna raise a banner. Done paying Nielsen. Like, we had the. I know we're not gonna really raise a banner, but we even had for the Pistons. Like, I think Detroit.
Wade, Josh Smith.
No, don't even get me into that, because we just freaking waived 2 more guys, and we're gonna do the same thing for the next 5 seasons.
Or how about when the Red Wings bought out Carlo Koliakovo?
Oh god, that's you're going way back.
Yeah, for sure. Pistons talk. Did you pull it up? Yeah, Seth already basically answered. I believe so.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at our cap space honestly, but I was kind of. So we got like $9.5 million left over. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, it is pretty good. No, but while you find that, I'm gonna go to the next topic really fast.
Okay.
We're already almost out of topics, but here we'll talk about this one. The Red Wings have loaned Calvin Pickard to the Vienna Capitals of the ICEHL. What does this mean for Pickard? Seth, we'll start with you.
Oh man, how do I put this without sounding too harsh? He will probably not ever play for the Red Wings again. He might not even play in the NHL again. I'm being honest. I'm being brutally honest.
Yeah.
You're playing for a team in Vienna and Austria. You know, we're not talking about the Swiss league or the German league or the Czech league. We're talking about in Vienna, Austria. Yeah, he's done as far as the NHL is concerned. Done. Stick a fork in him. He is finished.
Holy.
End of discussion.
No, but wasn't Pickard? I want to say Pickard was the goal. Like, I remember we had a game against the Maple Leafs. One of the goalies was sick, and then we had a goalie that got hurt. I think it was Jimmy Howard got hurt, and then Bernier was extremely sick.
Yeah.
And then we called Pickard up after all that stuff happened. That's where we know him from, right?
Yeah. Do you know his goals against average, PD?
Oh no, what is it?
It's 5.4, and he's got a save percentage of 79.7.
How
That's
big of a
not
sample
good.
size? How big of a sample size?
3 games, 165 minutes played, and he's 0-2.
Hey, I bet you can find. Dude, I bet we can find times where Brodeur or times where Hasek had bad stretches. It could just be
No,
bad stretch.
Yeah, for
don't-
3 games.
Yeah,
Don't
it's
do
3
that.
games.
Don't do that. I like Pickard. I wish Jim was on here. He'd probably be with me. I love goalies. He's not an NHL goalie. I hate to say it. He's an AHL goalie at best.
Oh no,
I
no,
think
don't get me wrong. No, don't
That's
get
what
me
his
wrong.
ceiling is.
No, I'm sorry. Like, no, don't get me wrong. I don't disagree. No, I'm just giving y'all food for thought. My point was just more that people have bad stretches. Players have bad stretches. It happens
Not that bad for 3 games. I hear what you're trying to say, but you know, like with Patrick Roy, with the 11-1 game he had against the Red Wings. But I mean, that's just 1 game. I mean, yeah, I mean, let's not be ridiculous here.
No, don't get me wrong. I don't see him as any sort of long-term solution for this hockey team. I don't see him doing anything for us next year or ever. But
do you guys remember Eric Comrie, who we got from Phoenix?
I vaguely remember that. What about?
So he basically played 3 games as well, and his goals against average was only 4.28.
Only 4.28? What was the save percentage?
86.
Okay, no, like Pickard struggled. He struggled a lot. Pickard didn't. I'm sorry. What? Go ahead.
Not to mention that Pickard is already 27 years old.
Oh God. Okay,
Comrie's 24, and he put up a better save percentage, and basically the same, time given. And he's 3 years younger. I still never understood why we let him go, but yeah, to me, Pickard is gone. I think the Red Wings, they have a lot of goalies in their pipeline right now, and I think he's just a guy that we'll probably never see again.
Yeah, I forgot about Comrie, to be honest. But yeah, well, like I said about Pickard, he's done. He's never playing for the Red Wings again.
Yeah, no, don't get me wrong. With everything I said, let's not get it twisted. Like I don't see him in any form of a long-term solution for this hockey team. I don't see him contributing for us pretty much ever again. Like the only reason I know who this dude is because of that game. Like, do y'all know what game I'm talking about?
The one where
I remember. I definitely remember. He got lit up in that game, and that's putting it nicely.
Yep, pretty much.
He looks like a beer league goalie out there, honestly, if I'm being honest with you guys.
Oh my gosh. No, but yeah, does anyone else have anything they want to add to Pickard? Because it's not working. Like,
let's spare him.
Yeah, we probably should spare him. Shout out to Calvin Pickard. Good luck on the rest of your career and kill it in the ICEHL. But yeah. All right. Pistons Talk. You sent us this article, so we're going to start with you. Tampa Bay is thinking of acquiring rights to Henrik Zetterberg through Tyler Johnson trade. Oh, I didn't even word that good, but what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I was actually watching. I want to give a shout out to Lego Rocks. He actually made a video about it, and like I'm like listening to him talk about this website that's like basically all in like Russian, and then I converted it over to like English through Google Translator. And I think I sent you guys like kind of like the snippet of the article. They basically just want to do like a Pavel Datsyuk situation where they buy out his contract, and in exchange we would trade for Tyler Johnson. And I know me and Seth were talking about it for a little bit, where like we didn't really want to take on the $5 million cap hit for the next couple of seasons. But I mean, if Yzerman wants to do it, he still has $9 million in cap space, and he would actually save money because Zetterberg makes, I want to say $6 million in cap space still. So you'd still have like around $5 million in cap space to play with if you want to sign another player on this team. But I think it would be a good trade because you'd get more depth on a second or third line. But at the same time, you don't want to be paying Tyler Johnson $5 million if he's not producing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and you were right. Zetterberg is on the books for $6.083333 million. He's on long-term injured reserve, so then that's what he's on the books for, 6.083, and then 3 more threes million. But Seth, what are your thoughts on potentially acquiring Tyler Johnson via Henrik Zetterberg?
In theory, it sounds very intriguing because it would be nice to be able to acquire one of the biggest Red Wing killers in recent history. Because I mean, I remember those 2 years. That 1 year in particular, he was lighting it up against the Red Wings. I know years before, Joe Pavelski was the big Red Wing killer. So, and Yzerman does have that familiarity with him, so that's nice. But like Pistons Talk was alluding to earlier, my big concern is the contract. And I believe, isn't he 31 right now?
I can look it up. I know he hasn't put up the points that he was in previous years, but I mean,
so that's another concern. The contract with his age. Those are probably my two biggest concerns for him. Otherwise, if he was younger and had a short, maybe not being paid $5 million, I'd be feel a lot better about it. But I'm very squeamish about a potential trade for Johnson for those reasons. I would have to. I'd have to really think about that. Though he could potentially provide more depth down the middle, especially for the second line, because I really don't think we have a suitable second line center right now, unless they move Fabry to that spot. Because I don't really know if Nemesnikov is a second line guy. I feel like he's more of a third line guy, and go for Franz Nilsson. He ain't it. So I feel like Johnson would be an upgrade there for that reason, but I'm very iffy about making such a trade still.
Yeah, I am kind of iffy on it too. Like he doesn't have a short amount of time left on he's not some expiring contract. He's got a decent amount of time. How much time did you were you able to pull up how much time he's got left on the contract?
Yeah, so his contract is until 2023, 2024, and plus he has a no trade clause with up to 15 teams that he will not be traded to. So there's that, and he's 30 years old.
Yeah, that's not. We don't need him yet. Like maybe if we were like in a win now situation, I would almost consider it. But we're not in a win now situation, and we're not in position to be. I don't think we're in positions to. I don't think we need to do it. At least not yet. We're not we're not going to be much next year. And what would Tyler Johnson give us like one extra win or something like that? So like, yeah.
I mean, like for context, if you wanted to know what his stats were in 65 games, he scored 14 goals and 17 assists. And in the playoffs, he did 4 goals and 3 assists. So I mean, he's still producing, but he's starting to decline a little bit.
No, like he's a good player. Don't get me wrong. Like he's a very good player. And as you guys said, he's a Red Wing killer. Well, we don't like that, but it's all good. Well, we would like him killing other teams. You just don't like him when he kills us.
Yeah.
No, but like he's not a bad player by any means. I don't think it's necessary to bring this guy in at this particular time. And I don't see him being I don't see him in a long-term plan, but he'd be here for a long time. And plus you said he's got a no trade clause. Wait, is it no trade or no movement clause?
No trade clause up to 15 teams.
Yeah, that's not.
I don't know what the 15 teams are either. So, I mean, there's a reason why Tampa Bay waived them.
Yeah.
Or they attempted to waive them, and no one would pick them up on the waiver wire. But I don't know. Like, obviously, we've seen how the lottery just kind of screws us over. And that's my standpoint is, well, what if we're a playoff team like the Rangers were, and you get bounced in the first round? They just won the first overall pick. That's my thinking to it is Red Wings get screwed over when we're a top 3 team in the lottery. Like every year, we've never got that first pick. We always go down. It seems like why not just go for it, get a player that's going to help us a little bit, but we're not going to be a playoff team. I think we can all agree with that there. No. Why not swing for the fences and sign a guy like Tyler Johnson? Or there's a lot of other players out there that are still not signed that the Red Wings could go after. They have the cap space to absorb, maybe one more, veteran on this team to help your second line.
I'd have to respectfully disagree there because I guess right now I wouldn't want to deviate from the strategy of, signing veteran guys for more than 2 years, unless it's a guy who will be like, I'm not going to say franchise player, but, a major game changer. And Johnson right now, he might could have been a game changer, that guy a couple years ago, but not now.
Yeah, that's kind of
I think we all agree that he's declining. So I would pass.
Do you have anything to rebuttal Pistons talk?
Well, I'm looking at the remaining free agents out there. There's another guy that you guys probably say no to this, but Mike Hoffman from the Florida Panthers, who's 31 years old.
No, I actually remember thinking about it at one point, but
there's a lot out there. I personally think what we probably won't get him. We'll probably get Duclair.
Anthony Duclair?
Yeah, I think that's more of like a timeline that the Red Wings like because he's young. He's only 25 from the Senators, and his cap hit's only $1.6 million. So
that'd make me more comfortable.
Yeah, I get your standpoint where you don't want to commit to someone that's older and doesn't fit the timeline, but I don't know. Why not bring back AA if you guys really want to? Why not for 1 year?
Oh Lord, no. He drove me nuts always trying to deacon into a whole bunch of traffic instead of passing the thing.
I know there's so many guys out there still that we could go after. Like I was just seeing Corey Perry from the Dallas Stars. He's 35.
I was just looking at Hoffman's stat line. Pretty impressive. With the Panthers, no less.
I'm surprised he's not signed, honestly.
If we wanted to bring him in, I wouldn't be mad about bringing. We could probably get. Do you guys agree or disagree that we could probably get that Hoffman cheaper than we would get Johnson, right?
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
I don't know because he's 30. He's 31.
Okay, this is about the same age as Tyler Johnson, but I don't know. Well, what were you saying, Pistons talk?
Well, to me, with Mike Hoffman, I feel like he'd want like a big deal, like $6 to $7 million. I think that's why he's still a free agent. Because you look at his production, like Seth said, 29 goals and 30 assists with the Florida Panthers, mind you. That's really impressive. But
they've never been an offensive juggernaut.
No, they really haven't. They've always kind of been ass ever since I've been alive. But like honestly, like Luongo was like their only star. Honestly, he kept them in games. But I'm going off topic. I think if you went after Hoffman, it'd probably be like a $6 million cap hit. And you know, if he's like producing like crazy, just sign him to a 1-year deal and try to flip him for a first round or a second round pick. Like honestly, like if you're losing, just do it. That would make so much sense to me.
Hey, Pistons talk. Are you old enough to remember when Burry was with the Panthers? Pavel Burry?
Probably not.
99, 2000.
No, okay. I should have been. I was only like 10.
He was with the Panthers for a while, and he had like 58 goals one year and 59 another. So aside from him, they've never really had any real big scorers, really.
Yeah, I mean, that's really impressive. Like now that I look at it, like 29 goals and 30 assists in a year. That's really impressive. Like I would do it, honestly. I don't know about you guys.
Oh, that's a tough one. I just don't know what I want to do. I don't know if I want to stick to the strictly just draft and then make a power move later or make a power move now. That's where I'm like torn on. But timeout. I just wanted to say that the Panthers actually the past couple seasons have been a pretty good offensive team. This year they ranked 7th in goals for out of 31 teams, and last year they ranked 9th in goals for out of 31 teams. So they've
that as it may, it's a different league than it was years or decades ago. So that may be good for them, but you compare that to years ago, that you might be roughly the same as before during the dead puck era. So is all I guess relative to the timeline and time frame of the league. You know,
that's what I'm saying.
It's back to being lower scoring league as a league as a whole now. So, but that's something that we'll talk about later in my topic too. You know, my segment. So.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, the Panthers for the past couple seasons they've been terrible on defense. Like they rank in the bottom 3 in goals against the past 2 seasons, but they've had some good offensive. They've had some good offensive performances, and Hoffman certainly contributed to that.
That is so unlike them in their historically. That is so unlike them.
If you look back, PD, they'd probably be equivalent to the Lions of the NHL. Like straight up, like they've been so bad for so long.
Well, I'm not saying necessarily that because I remember when they were
Cup finals.
Yeah, 1996. So I remember that. You know, I was 12 during. I was 14 during that time. So I remember when they were pretty good for a stretch in the 90s when they had John Van Beesbrook as goalie. They were a completely defensive team. Kind of like New Jersey back then, to where they would only score 2-3 goals at the most, but that's all they needed to win games because they're so good defensively. You know, they didn't have anyone on offense. You know,
it's funny you mentioned that. I actually went to school with John Van Beesbrook's nephew,
and I met his niece one time.
Yeah, his nephew Julian. He was actually our goalie on our high school team.
Okay. I think his niece is Sarah. I think.
Yeah. It's like a flashback. I was like, oh man, I haven't heard that name in a while.
All right, yeah. I'm sorry to do this, guys, but we deviated a little bit too much right there. It's all good because it creates some good conversation. But yeah, does anyone else have anything they want to add on Tyler Johnson or?
Not really. I kind of like shifted to Mike Hoffman now. Now that I look at his stats, man, I was like, man, 29 goals, really?
Yeah. You know, we might have to talk about that next week. We might have to talk about that
especially today's NHL.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, like that's a topic that we might have to discuss next week. Like, what other free agents would you want to bring in or something like that? But yeah, we're gonna go to Seth's segment now. Seth, kick us off.
We're going to take a look back at the aftermath of the wiped out 2004-2005 season. As you may all remember, a lot of changes came as a result of that lockout. The introduction of the salary cap, as well as the shootout, which eliminated ties once and for all, and then also brought about a renewed interest in bringing back offensive hockey, cutting down on obstruction, clutching, and grabbing. So, I guess this is a two-part question. Number one, how, in your opinion, how did these changes affect the NHL for the better or worse? And secondly, how did you think the Red Wings were going to do coming out of the lockout, particularly under the salary cap?
All right, Pistons Talk, do you want to start us off, or do you
can go first?
All right, Seth, I'm sorry. Could you just give me a quick synopsis again, real fast? Like, it's a lot. That's a lot.
Salary cap, shootout, and eliminating obstruction. Trying to boost scoring again.
All right, so as far as the shootout, I personally hate shootouts. I don't like them because it's almost like it's a circus show. It almost just feels like a circus pretty much with this shootout. Like the game is played 5-on-5, and now all of a sudden something that is not played the whole game is what's going to decide the game. I'm not big on that. Like, I don't love it. I mean, I guess it can be kind of fun. Like, I don't root against my team to not win shootouts. Like, whenever I watch it, like, dude, like, I was going crazy. It was just one win, but I was going crazy when the Red Wings beat the Lightning in that shootout. No, but I don't love shootouts all too much. As far as trying to increase goal scoring, it's like it's kind of worked-ish. It's been fluctuating. Like, I'm just going to go off the goals per game for each team since the lockout. 3.08, 2.95, 2.78, 2.91, 2.84, 2.79, 2.73, 2.72, 2.74, 2.73, 2.71, 2.77, 2.97, 3.01, and 3.02. It's just these last 2 years are when we saw teams on average scoring 3+ goals a game. So, I mean, it's worked, but it hasn't worked. I wouldn't really say it's really whatever efforts they're making to try to improve goal scoring. It's been inconsistent at best, I guess, is what I would say. And the other thing you wanted to talk, the salary cap was the other part you wanted to talk about. As far as the salary cap, I mean, Holland, he did some good. Like, even with the salary cap, he still built a Stanley Cup winning team. I mean, beforehand, he was just bringing in everybody, bringing in Brett Hull, bringing like 40-year-old players or stuff like that. And we still won a Stanley Cup. And I think Holland, it didn't affect. I mean, honestly, I lied. It did affect the Red Wings. Like, we made it to 2 Stanley Cups. And then after we made it to those 2 Stanley Cups, it's been kind of on a downward trajectory. It went on a downward trajectory. Like, we signed guys, we overpaid for guys when we were screwed pretty much. Like, oh, we can't get this guy, so we're just going to bring this guy in instead. And it didn't work out too good for us in particular. But I don't mind the salary cap. I mean, I think it makes GMs think a little bit better. But as far as the salary cap also, it's not necessarily more money. More money isn't necessarily going to bring you a Stanley Cup. Smart money is what brings you a Stanley Cup. Like, I remember, like, the Devils, before the Devils weren't really that great of a market or anything like that. They weren't some storied franchise, and they still won 2 Stanley Cups before the salary cap came in.
Three.
Oh yeah, really? They won 3? Wow.
95, 2000, 03.
Oh wow, so they won a lot. Like, they weren't necessarily. I don't know if were they. I don't recall them bringing in any big name free agents. Like, Martin Brodeur was a homegrown player, if I recall correctly. But he was a homegrown player.
Stevens was in a trade, so yeah, you're right. And Scott Gomez was homegrown. Niedermeyer homegrown. Yeah.
What about Elias? Was he homegrown?
Who?
I think he's talking
Elias?
about Patrick Elliott. Yeah,
Patrick Elias?
Yeah.
I think he was homegrown.
Yeah.
No,
They
so I
drafted
guess,
well with
No, so I
Lou
guess-
Lamoriello. Lou Lamoriello.
yeah. I mean, in all honesty, I don't think the salary caps made GMs better or worse. I mean, I
Mhm.
guess it might have emphasized it a little bit, but I don't think it really has had that much. It hasn't had the largest effect. Like we haven't had back-to-back stand. Like I guess the salary cap has created a tad bit more parity. It's hard to say though. I remember like there was a discussion about it. Like the salary cap's been bad. Is the salary cap good or bad for the NHL? But I mean, honestly, I'm indifferent about the salary cap. I mean, because at the end of the day, smart money is what wins championships. I mean, more money can win you championships, but smart money more often than not will probably win you a championship. But I don't know. Did that answer your question? Did that answer it adequately for you, Seth?
You did good. You did good, Grasshopper.
All right.
I'll go. I'll go ahead and go next. All right. As far as the shootout goes, at first I was excited about it because I'm old enough to remember ties, and ties used to get on my nerves. A lot of us older fans, we didn't like ties, because ties don't solve anything. At least if we lost, at least we could live with it, but a tie, that doesn't solve anything. So at first I was all for the shootout, but then after a couple years, it got boring really quick. And it's like, oh, here we go again with the shootout. And it's so nerve-wracking. Like, one shootout can decide a game after 60 minutes and 5 minutes in overtime, So I'm with you there, PD Sports, in terms of that deciding the course of a whole game. Let me see. For offense, yes. As you know, I'm an offensive guy. I like offense. So I appreciated the attempt to create more offense, and it seemed to work at first, but then coaches found a way around it by being more defensive orientated. So I was like, okay, whatever. So it's almost like we've gone back into the dead puck era from before the lockout, but scoring is rising back up a little bit. And then for the salary cap, I feel the salary cap is good for the league because it forces GMs to be more resourceful, and it puts more importance on the draft, prospects, the farm systems, younger players getting more opportunities than they did before. And let me see. And then when people say that Holland, couldn't function under the salary cap, that's a lazy take on it, because if you look at those first few years, the Red Wings were still cup contenders, and like you said, PD Sports, they won another cup afterwards and made it to the finals again. Whereas I was concerned that they would fall flat on their faces that very first season after the salary cap. That was my biggest concern, because the Red Wings were with the biggest beneficiaries beforehand of having unlimited payrolls. So, I think overall the salary cap makes things more interesting. It does create, in a sense, more parity. Plus, especially now that teams have a salary floor, so teams can't be super stingy either. So, I think overall the salary cap is the best thing to come out of the post-lockout.
All right, that's
for the league.
Oh, for sure. Business Talk, what are your thoughts on that segment?
So I'll start with the shoot. Was it the shootout you guys were talking about?
Yeah.
So before I talk about the shootout, the only thing that drives me crazy is the 3-on-3. That honestly drives me crazy. It gives me freaking anxiety because
I agree. It
is so fast paced. Like I know they want to speed the game up, but that is that's it's over in a minute usually. But if it does go to a shootout, then that's actually more entertaining. I wish they would just do maybe a 4-on-4 or 5-on-5. 3 versus 3 to me, it's just if you have a 1-man or a 2-man advantage, the game's basically over. But I do like that. As for the salary cap era, My opinion is with the contracts, I think they should only be 5 years. I think that would fix a lot of things personally, because a lot of these contracts are like, what, 6, 7, 8 years long. And then these teams are stuck with these players if they get injured. That's just my 2 cents on it. But, like PD, you said, like the Red Wings won, a Stanley Cup post salary cap era. I thought they could have won more than one, honestly. I feel like during that championship window, they could have won 2 or 3 easily. But I mean, you guys made a lot of good points with the salary cap era, how it's affected certain teams, how it hasn't. I think honestly, winning a cup in a salary cap era is actually hard unless you have a guy like, a Sidney Crosby or an Alex Ovechkin on your team. You have to be more smart with the money, with the players you draft, and a lot of other things that have to go into, building a roster. But I personally miss the no salary cap era because, you could just sign guys that you wanted. You didn't have to worry about having, I don't know, maybe Nielsen on your books for the next 6 seasons or stuff like that. But that's just my 2 cents.
Good point.
Actually, I want to talk to you. I want to ask you about you think the league should, do you think the league should cut down, make a rule saying you can only give out 5 years?
Yeah. So the way the NBA does it is you can only sign a max contract for 5 years with the team that you have. And you have to make all NBA to get a max contract. I think if the NHL did that approach, the contracts wouldn't be as long and you wouldn't be tied to money down as long. Let's say, for example, Dylan Larkin wants a max contract, but he wants to play for another team. He could only get a 4-year contract because that's the way the NBA operates. I feel like the NHL did that. You wouldn't have dead money on your books. Like the Red Wings had Datsuk and Zetterberg on their books when they were retired and they still had to pay them. It's because of the contracts were so damn long. If the contracts were only a 4 to 5 year window, I think more teams could be more flexible with the cap space. There's so many teams right now that are in cap space hell because of the longer contracts.
You also have to remember that at the start of the salary cap era, you could sign guys for as long as you wanted, 12, 15, even 20 years if you wanted. And they changed that after, I think, 2013 with 2012-13 to where it could only be up to 8 years. So, so that was their way of getting around not being able to be paid 20, 40, 50 million a year, when there wasn't a salary cap. Get paid the same amount over a longer period of time. So,
well, I actually want to ask you guys a question. So, whose fault is that? Is that the general manager's fault for giving out that much of a contract, or is it the NHL's fault for not preventing it from happening? Which one is it?
Again, I'm not going to fault the players. I'm not. Don't hate the player, hate the game. So I'm not going to hate on them for finding ways to get their money. Not one bit. And I thought that was actually kind of clever how the GMs were and the players were able to come to agreements to find that loophole. But Pistons Talk was saying that created the pathway for cap hell down the road. So hey,
well, cap hell, I feels like a slippery slope. It's whose fault is it? Is it the NHL's fault they're in cap hell, or is it your fault that you're in cap hell? That's where I'm always torn on.
I think it's both sides, honestly, because for example, let's say Connor McDavid's going to be a free agent. What are you guys giving him? 8 years max contract?
That is a good point. I guess that's also because I guess multiple teams, a bunch of teams are probably going to offer him 8 years at that point.
And his age, yes, I would.
See, that's the thing I was saying, where how the NHL can learn from the NBA, because they've really cracked it down, is I think 5 years is fine. That way the player is going to get more money over, a shorter period of time. Cap space, it's not really a big deal. It's very similar to the NBA. I think their cap space is around 80 million and the NBA's is around 109 million, but you kind of get where I'm going with it. You can give, I don't know, someone 5 years, I don't know, $30 million. And, they'll get their money. And, if you want to flip them in a couple of years, you can. You're not going to be attached to it long term.
I don't know, for sure. I'm not gonna kill what anybody says. Like it's definitely an interesting talking point with the salary cap. No, like it's a little bit of both. And like I agree. Like the NHL maybe could learn a little bit from the NBA. No, like would you add a max contract in the NHL, or would you not add a max contract to the NHL?
I would, honestly. I think the reason why the NBA is like probably one of the most talked about, like free agency is absolutely crazy, and why there's so much movement is because the contracts are shorter, and you have max contracts on top of that. If you're the best at your position, I think it would add more of a dynamic to people wanting, like they want to be interested in the NHL. I feel like people aren't interested in the NHL because, the contracts are so high, and it's just like, oh, why are we paying this guy like $800,000 for a year? I think if they, up the money and shorter the contracts, I think more people would get into it, and people would be, excited for like an NHL free agency, like who's going to get traded, who's getting a max contract,
Yeah, for sure. Dang, does anyone else have anything they want that they want to add on Seth's segment?
You know what, though? I think you bring up some interesting points, Pistons talk, but the counterpoint to that would probably be that I'm sure the owners would probably provide a lot of pushback to what you're saying because, for
probably.
instance, I think they would like to be able to offer those 6, 7, 8 year contracts to lock down their stars for a longer amount of time. And then another thing you look at, yes, people are more interested in the NBA, but you could also make the argument that the NBA has become too individualistic, more about the players than the team. Like, okay, you root for whoever LeBron's playing for. It's not about the Lakers or the Cavs, And I'm not sure if the NHL would want that to where, let's root for whatever team Sidney Crosby's on, or whatever team Ovechkin's on. And I think they want to keep with the team traditions of the Red Wings, the Maple Leafs, and the Canadiens. So there will probably be too much pushback in the NHL for that, in terms of the max contracts, most likely.
I think that's why they struggle.
Yeah. Wait, you were going to say something, Pistons? You were going to say something, Pistons talk?
I just think that's why the NHL has struggled. Like, I remember when I was a kid, like, you turn on ESPN, you'd watch, a hockey game. Like, ESPN doesn't even broadcast NHL games anymore. You have to watch it on, like, NBC or, your local stations here, like Fox Sports Detroit. Like, the NHL is actually, like, dying when it does come to, like, media consumption. When you, like, talk about sports leagues, I mean, they're at the bottom with Major League Baseball because they haven't really adapted to the times where, like, football and basketball, you guys would probably agree, those are the top two sporting leagues in the United States that, get the most media coverage. They're on TV all the time, and people are always talking about it.
Yeah, I would agree.
I feel like if the NHL kind of did, like, maybe a max contract or not a max, or, did something like that to just, like, get more interest with fans, I think it wouldn't really be a problem with the owners at all, because the owners are going to make more money off the players at the end of the day. Like, just for example, each time there's a new team, like the Seattle Kraken, did you guys know that each owner makes $5 million every time there's a new team?
Oh yeah, no, I know. Like, there's the expansion fees and stuff like that. They get a lot of money.
Oh, that's what those fees are for. Okay.
Yeah.
Those astronomical expansion fees.
Yep.
Yeah. What? Oh no. What were you going at? Where were you getting at, Pistons talk? Like, you were on to finish the thought, or was that where you're getting at?
It's just like, it's sad to see the NHL just like such at the bottom when, they could have such a fun league, but they've kind of taken the fun out of it. Like, you can't even hit anymore. You can't fight. It's just, I don't know. I feel like it's just a watered down league. Like, when I grew up, I mean, there was like bloody fights. You would just turn on a Red Wings game because you wanted to see if the Red Wings were just going to check Peter Forsberg or frustrate Joe Sakic, but you can't even like hit anymore without it being a penalty or a fine.
Yeah, if Jim was on here, he'd be talking about how it's not even hockey anymore in the Stanley Cup era because, with more of the hits to the head and You don't have enforcers anymore. I know he would be pitching the fit, going on a rant about this.
I mean, no, honestly, I think enforcers. I think that's just the natural evolution of the game. I don't think anyone pushed them out. I think they just kind of. I feel like they just kind of fell out more than they were pushed out. I don't know if I'm tripping, but what do you guys think? Were enforcers pushed out, or did they just fall out?
Maybe a little bit of both, because I've read about how with this faster, quicker NHL since the 05 lockout, how that's kind of made the traditional enforcers obsolete. But I wouldn't say that's entirely true. I think a lot of it also has to do with the rule changes to phase out fighting, which began happening beforehand. You had like the instigator penalty attached on to fighters who started fights, so that was a deterrent, and that's changed a lot. A lot of people liked hockey because of fighting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and they're like, okay, where's the fun in that? I'm not saying back in the 70s, from what I heard, there was like a whole bunch of fights. Maybe 5-10 fights per game. Whereas when I was a kid, at least we could see 1 or 2 fights per game. That was still a good amount.
I think 1 or 2 fights per game is a healthy amount. Like, I want to watch a hockey game still. I mean, I don't want to watch just a pure brawl. Like I said, I want to still watch the hockey game. I mean,
now you're lucky to even see a fight once a month. It seems like.
Hey, I'll just say the last Red Wing game I went to, the Red Wing, they got clobbered. I went to a Red Wing game in New Jersey, and they got clobbered, and they started a fight at the end, and it was cool. It was cool. I mean, but I was torn when they fought. I was like, man, guys, just take the L. You guys got completely outplayed in this game. Just take the L. I was kind of like torn on that game. Like, either just take the L or, man, we're not going to stand for this. I was torn on which one to feel. But what did you want to say? Something, Pistons talk?
No, it's just like, as I'm like thinking about it, it's just the NHL is just such a watered down league now from like what I grew up watching. Like, I don't know if it's for the better or worse. I see the NHL possibly changing more things, maybe more penalties that they can like enforce or something like that. But I don't know. It's just, when I watch a hockey game, it's boring now. I don't know about if you guys have like kind of like the same feeling about that.
No, I don't agree. I just love to watch my teams. So like, I don't get bored. I mean, even when we're getting destroyed, I get sad when we're getting destroyed, but I don't get bored. I'm like, all right, let's see y'all at least do something. I mean, hockey it's such a great sport. Like, it has so much potential. Like, it's too great of a sport to be where it's at, I guess. I agree with you. Like, it's too great of a sport. It's where I don't even know where I'm going with this, but yeah, it's too great of a sport to be where it's at. Like, when you attend an NHL game, it's just a different animal. Like, it feels amazing, and like the atmosphere is amazing, and like you can also like, yeah, they're amazing athletes, and they don't get the credit that they necessarily might deserve because of certain things. But yeah, but we deviated a little bit. But does anyone else have anything they want to add on Seth's segment?
I'm good.
I kind of got into it. Apologize for that.
No, I like it. No, it's good. It's good. I like where this has gone. Like, we had 6 topics, guys. We had 6 topics, and we made it. And we made these topics work really good. So I ain't mad at anybody for getting into stuff. But all right, we're gonna go ahead and go on the final thoughts then. Pistons talk. What are your final thoughts?
A good show. Maybe we'll have hockey back in the next month or so. We could talk about how the Red Wings are blowing leads again. But other than that, really good show, you guys.
I was gonna say, were they blowing leads, or were they just trailing the whole time? Because I don't know. I feel like I remember them just trailing the whole time more than I remember them blowing leads. I remember them blowing a couple, but
they would score first, and then they would let like 5 goals in a row.
Yeah, that happened at times. I don't know. I just always felt like they were trailing it just felt to me like they were just trailing all game, this
I felt-
season more than they were.
I felt like if Bernier wasn't a goal, we'd have a lot of 8-1 games.
No, I can agree with that. I can agree with that there.
They found multiple ways to lose, actually.
They
Every
did.
which way. Blowing leads, getting behind early, and then coming back, falling too short, and then heartbreakers. Every which way.
Yeah, for sure. I need to shout out JMO. What's up, JMO? Good show. Yeah, this was a fun show today. And Wingsy adapt like the NBA did. Yeah, for sure. Oh, yeah, he meant to say NHL, I mean, and add max contracts. Well, that's up for the NHLPA and the league and the commissioner and the owners to figure out, but we'll see what happens. No, but Seth, do you have any final thoughts? Oh, Seth's gone for a second, but this was a fun show. We hope you enjoyed, and this is a really fun show. That's pretty much all I can say. We'll be back here, same time, same place. We got Above the Rim, we got Offside Show, and we got the Round Table. So check out all of the DSA shows, and you won't be disappointed. But Seth, you're back. Do you have any final thoughts?
Yes, sorry about that.
No, it's all good.
Great show as always. Great to always join you guys. And like Pistons Talk said, hopefully we'll have some more hockey soon, and we'll have to endure more fans on Facebook saying every day the Fire Blast Show. Fire Blast Show. It'll be back to normal. So,
oh man,
like Steve Yzerman said, be patient. So, just like you'll have to be patient for another week for another show, same day, same time. You heard it from me, Seth Walker.
All right, and with that said, we are out.